of this, we are having Dr. Mamili Ravishankar sir, who is currently an associate professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Tirupati. So he was awarded Institution of Engineers India Young Engineer Award in Production Engineering, Skill India Indo Global Research Excellence Award from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana Skill Development Chapter, Venus International Faculty Award for Outstanding Faculty in Mechanical Engineering, Institute Blues, that is the Outstanding Sports Personality of IIT Kanpur. It's the highest honor that IIT Kanpur gives to a sports person, and he holds a master degree from Indian Institute of Technology Kanpur and a PhD degree from Indian Institute of Technology Kanpur itself. So he has published more than 65 to 70 papers in journals and conference proceedings, including papers in journals of the mechanical behavior of biomedical materials, Journal of Micromanufacturing, International Journal of Advanced Manufacturing Technology, Journal of Mechanical Science and Technology, ASME Journal of Micro and Nano Manufacturing. Apart from this, Dr. M. Ravishankar sir is a reviewer of various journals of international repute, such as International Journal of Advanced Manufacturing Technology, Journal of Cleaner Production, and he's also a member of editorial board in various international journals. Now he is currently working in abrasive flow finishing, bioabsorbable fixation devices, and biomaterials processing. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us today through Google Meet, and we are very much honored to invite you for this talk. Sir Ravishankar, sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Hope you can able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, we could able to see, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Pandeji, and for inviting me. And about it's my pleasure to introduce about our lab, followed by the talk, which is about biomicromachining and other things. And I was very happy to know that Professor Pulak Mohan Pandey was
Yeah.
with you people.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And he was my senior, in fact. So from the same lab, we
Okay,
graduated.
sir. Okay.
Hopefully, I am very fortunate to have my senior as well-wisher of mine. Thank you. I think other people can mute. That would be nice.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about biomicromachining, which is one of the latest areas that we are working on. Recently, past 2 years back, we are judged as a best paper awardee in this area at IIT Madras also. So coming to the IIT Tirupati, as I said, we are the new people. So we come under the third generation IITs, and IIT Tirupati is in Andhra Pradesh, which is Rayalaseema region of Andhra Pradesh, which comes under the southern part of Andhra Pradesh. And we are approximately 140 to 150 kilometers away from IIT Madras. And we, along with IIT Palakkad, Goa, Dharwad, Bhilai, and Jammu, are third generation IITs, as you all aware of that. And we are very fortunate that we are maybe the first institute which is going to occupy our campus in couple of months. So our campus is almost ready, and compared to other third generation IITs, we are maybe I don't know about other people. We are the first guy, maybe the first guys to occupy the campus. So our campus is almost all ready, and we will be occupying by end of this year. So regarding the milestones of IIT Tirupati, the government has announced on 6 new third generation IITs in 2014, and working of IIT Tirupati has started in 2015. So we have basically BTech, MTech, PhD, which is common. And how apart from it, we also have one program which is not available in all the IITs. Some IITs it is available, that is called MS by Research. Since our mentoring institute is IIT Madras, so Madras is having this particular program. So we have also introduced about MS by Research. So what is the thing that I would like to tell you is that any part of India, anybody who want to pursue their MS and PhD external from government organizations, it can be academia, it can be industry, it can be R&D lab, anything. So only government organization based people are allowed to do their MS and PhD external from IIT Tirupati, subjected to the no objection certificate from their institute. At the same time, they have to spend a minimum 1 semester for their coursework. So that is one of the mandatory that IIT Tirupati has done, so that you will experience the taste of IIT education system and other things. Okay, rest all the things that you, if you have the facilities, then we don't have much problem in guiding you from your institute also. So coming to the departments, we have currently 5 engineering departments. We started with 4 engineering. One is civil, mechanical, electrical, and computer science. Recently, last 3 years back, we have added another one department that is called chemical engineering. So these are the 5 departments that we have. And regarding the sciences, we have maths, physics, chemistry, and humanities and social sciences. These are 4 departments. And the number of faculty that we are currently is around a century. So that means that we are 100. And the number of projects that we hold is about 80. So we are on par with first generation IITs in terms of number of project ratio with respect to the number of faculty. As I understand that the number of faculty is very less, so this ratio will be obviously higher. So what are the other things that we are going to get? So Department of Material Science and Engineering is one that we are going to start in probably in 2022. Because of this pandemic, it is postponing. So hopefully we are going to start in 2022 along with the School of Design. So maybe School of Design may take another 1 year extra. Okay, so coming to the third, Center for Precision Agriculture and Food Processing, which is about to start. It is by this December, it is going to start. And however, the work into this area is already started by one of our eminent faculty, Professor Raghav Rao Garu, who is a director CFTRI Mysore, is with us after retiring from there. At the age of 60, he is now with us. So we are fortunate to have him, and we are going aggressively in the area of precision agriculture and food processing. So regarding precision agriculture, we are being a mechanical engineering, we do support chemical engineering, chemistry, and other people. Apart from it, what we individually we try to do at IIT Tirupati in Department of Mechanical Engineering is drone-based technologies is one. Second is coating technologies for NPK level testing, the soil testing, and other things, which we work with civil engineering people for, and electrical engineering people for communication technologies and other things. At the same time, we also introduce these coating technologies for through the drone system for vision-based sensors for NPK levels in a global spectrum, so that we can monitor. So, if, for example, if you already sufficient amount of NPK are there already in the soil, so you need not to put, or at the same time, if the soil is lacking by some elements or minerals, so we can suggest that if at all you want to go for this particular field, so this is what we can recommend to you. This is, for example, if you want to put some potassium and other things that you want to put, we can suggest also. So this is one part of the center. Second part is a big part, that is what food processing industry. So almost all already, I think chemical engineering is already working about 5 crores projects on food processing. So we have abundant amount of mangoes, our locality, and abundant amount of muskmelon, watermelon, papaya, and in terms of vegetables, we have tomato and other things. So what is the thing is that we try to make food products out of it. So we are developing some of the technologies to make these powders. For example, simple technology that we try to do is how to make papaya milk into a powder. So papaya milk is having a lot of medicinal values and lot of medical industries require it. I mean to say pharmaceutical industries require it. How do you make the papaya milk into a papaya powder and you can sell? At the same time, papaya leaves also, how do we make? So as a mechanical engineer, when I started this conversion of leaves into powder, I thought it is very easy because just you dry it at certain temperature and you can make it. But the problem is, a big problem is there. The problem is nutrients loss. So how do you do without nutrients loss? That is what the technology that is all about. We work with chemical engineers, chemistry, and another one people we are going to interact is NIN, which is National Institute of Nutrition, which is in Hyderabad. And another people is we have agriculture centers in Tirupati. So as you know that IIT Tirupati and AP government, I mean to say Andhra Pradesh government, we have fortunate enough that Tirupati and surrounding Tirupati is making as an educational hub. So we have ISAR, we have universities, we have almost all. Near to us, we have AIMS, I mean to say within 150 kilometers or something. So corridor is there, biomedical corridor and other things. So we have a good amount of institutions, almost all 20 to 30 institutions are there in and around IIT in Tirupati itself. So food processing is one of the hottest areas and thrust areas of IIT Tirupati also. So the fourth one is TAH, which recently we received about 100 to 120 crores on precision technologies and positioning, where we support some of the people. So I am heading one of the vertical called precision manufacturing, where we try to make lens for GPS system, lens for other systems such as quantum clocks and other things. As you know, the quantum technologies are emerging. So one of the things that we work is we support physics who are developing these quantum technologies in this area, so that precise positioning technologies can be done. For example, tsunami. Tsunami is going to say, the radio says at 4 p.m. today, the tsunami is going to hit the surface of the earth. I mean to say at the border. So sea and earth interface. So for example, if it comes at 3:30 p.m., so it will be a problem. So if it comes later, there is no problem. It comes earlier, then is a problem. So how precisely you control, or precisely you can position it. So these are the technologies. So for this, we develop some of the technologies where our vertical works. So I'm heading that vertical that is called precision technology, precision manufacturing technology. So coming to the fifth, it is CAMOST, Center for Atomic, Molecular and Optical Sciences and Technologies, which is where we work on to the laser micro manufacturing center. So this is, again, we are having laser powder bed system, laser micro machining system, laser micro nano polishing systems, and we also getting the laser pulse laser deposition technologies and laser spectroscopy technologies. See, we have a good team about lasers in terms of physics department as well as mechanical. So we combinedly work for understanding laser beam, so different types of beams and other things. So there my role is about laser micro manufacturing as well as optical metrology. So my group basically works into the micro machining and nano finishing group. Second group is a sustainable manufacturing group. Additive manufacturing group is the third one. Smart manufacturing group, which we recently entered into this is the fourth group, and bio-nanomaterials and manufacturing is the fifth group. These are the 5 groups that we work. Apart from it, we also work into some of the areas, but that is not still in the early stages, like biomanufacturing, what you are going to see and other things. So micro nano manufacturing group, exclusively we work into the, as I said, lasers. Laser-based micro machining and nano machining, and I mean to say nano polishing and other things that we work. So we have already executed 2-3 projects. One for Baba Atomic Research Center, that is nuclear back-end fuel cycle, that you can see here, the nuclear applications, that component also you can see there. And we also support some of the microfluidic devices and other things. Okay. So as the CAMOST, as I said, that normally we try to do on polishing technologies. Some of the polishing technologies include MRF, which Professor Pulak Mohan Pandey sir and other people exclusively work. So these are the technologies that we are slowly adopting, because we may not consider ourselves as an expert in these areas. However, we are adopting because we have to develop small to medium to the big scale lenses for TIH applications, for which we are now procuring one of the machines for MRF, which cost us enormous amount of money in terms of getting the technology. And we also work with ARCI, where the machine, MRF machine itself, is costing around minimum 13 to 14 crores of rupees. So this is what people are using for large scale manufacturing of lenses for atomic scale manufacturing. So whatever you are seeing here, you can see here, what is the thing and technology about is that you will have a liquid based MR fluid, and whenever you try to apply a magnetic field, so magnetic field intensity makes it a flexible abrasive brush, or you can say flexible magnetic abrasive brush. So what is the drawback of this particular system is that you cannot go for very, very complex features, or if you want to go for very complex internal features, it cannot go. For that, what we developed is that we have a self-propelled viscoelastic mediums. These are called polymer rheological abrasive mediums that we have developed. So here you don't require any external things, and we are almost all catering almost all the 3D companies. For example, if you take 3D systems, we are helping them for polishing of some of the 3D component. We are working with EOS. We are where they have some of the components that they are able to give. And recently we have already supported one industry that is called which makes, it's a Noida based company. So it's a multinational company, US based company. I don't remember exactly the name. So recently they have a die which is fabricated by 3D printing system, and we have polished and we have given. So nowadays we are also working for conformal cooling channels, because conformal cooling channels and other things are very difficult for MR based fluids. However, we are developing by playing with respect to rheological fluid, rheological additives, and functionalization of the polymer networks. And most important thing is what are the functionalizers that you are using and how you are managing this type of micro and nano features in terms of polymer networks. How do you hold abrasive particles in polymer networks and other things? This is very complex thing in terms of rheology and other things. So we try to do the polymer rheology, we adopt some of the technologies, and we try to check the properties, and we go back and we try to modify with various rheological additives. Currently we work with more than 20 to 28 rheological additives, softeners, hardeners, stearates, so on, so that you will get a medium that is required, that can be having the self-propelled action, where you may not require any external source of energy like MR fluid and other things. So we have already got one of the projects from DBT, BIRAC, Biotechnology Initiation Grant for cardiovascular applications, because this is to avoid the thrombosis and to avoid the plaque, or to minimize the plaque and other things, for which they try to work on to release the drugs. So the combination of the drugs, this combination of the drugs has a very strong impact on the metallurgy of the component. So for example, you are using a nitinol stent in the circumstances where nitinol stent, whenever you try to do using laser beam micromachining process, so you will have a recast layer, heat affected zone and other things, and recast layers are metallurgically destroyed by the thermal energy. Because of that, what will happen is whenever you are extracting or eluting or releasing the drugs, these drugs as I said, the drugs comprises of multiple combinations. For example, one is for reducing the plaque, another is to avoid the thrombosis and other things, for which the people are to have to elute various chemical compositions. These chemical compositions have some chemical nature, at the same time metallurgical properties of the heat affected zone and recast layers will have a elementochemistry. So what we have to understand here is elementochemistry of these materials which we are eluting, and this will have a drastic effect on the cardiovascular spectrum. At the same time, these particles that are going to release may have a biggest problem on arteries. So we have to develop, the project says that we have to develop the gold standards in the in vitro conditions, and we are working this particular project with a Bangalore-based heart surgery hospital. With respect, at the same time, we are also working with the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum. So this is one of the big projects that we in the recent times that we are working on. Okay, so this is about micro machining and nano finishing group. So now we move on to the smart manufacturing group. As I said, we not only do the research of basic level of TRL 1 to 5, we also do from 6 to 9 also. So what is the technology that we have developed? This is abrasive flow finishing technology, which is having a HMI system. This is what the anatomical structure, and this is the morphological structure that you can see here. What is the system is all about is it is abrasive flow finishing system where you can control all the things from HMI system, that is human machine interface system. So this shows that we not only do the paper publications, which we have almost all 60 to 70 publications. Currently, almost 20 PhD students are working in our research group. So on various advanced manufacturing technologies, and this is one of the commercial product that we have developed, and we are about to get some of the orders from some of the companies. Still the negotiations are going on with respect to some of the companies like Wipro 3D and other things. So as I said, we have already given to the some of the solutions to leading research laboratories like CMTI and other things that you can see here. Atomic abrasive flow finishing 150 AFM 150D we have given for deburring applications and other things to CMTI, and they also uses this for some of the finishing applications also. So this is one of the knowledge transfer that we have already transferred to the leading laboratories. However, we have not transferred the technology of the medium, which is more crucial because the setup is like a SIM card and the medium is like a recharging of a SIM card. So the most of the technology lies in the recharging of a SIM card. That means that medium. So the medium itself is very, very costly. For example, commercially available extrude hone medium 2 kgs is about 5 lakhs rupees. I'm telling about 10 years back. Currently we are unaware of the cost because we approached for procurement for our master studies and other things. So they said that they don't give. So that's what. It's okay if they don't give, they don't give. So we have not, further negotiations has not happened. So they don't give to some of the strategic sectors, and they also don't give to those people who work in the area where they feel the competitors and other things. It's good that they are feeling us, we are as one of the competitors to them. So sustainable manufacturing group, we extensively work on to sustainable manufacturing group since 2002 when I started my masters at IIT Tirupati. So one of the glimpse that you can see here is what happens in the machining process whenever you are going to machine with the stringent input conditions and other things. Just watch a video. So whenever you do that high input conditions like slightly higher side of the feed and depth of cut and other things, whenever you are doing with a tungsten carbide cutting tool with a stainless steel, you see these type of things. So what is the solution for it? The solution is in terms of two ways. One is going for a hardest cutting tool, diamond, which you cannot use for stainless steel or Fe based. So otherwise you have to go for CBN or PCBN type of cutting tools, which is expensive. The second option is, being a developing nation, the second option that you can normally will go with cutting fluid, where cutting fluid 20 liters you can get for 1500 to 2000 rupees, where you can mix with respect to water 1 is to 10 or something, so that you will get more than 200 liters or something, which you can use almost all for 2 to 3 months of your industrial usage. So but the problem with using a cutting fluid is, you can see that the video. So thanks to Sanjeev Kumar Verma. So Sanjeev Verma ji, who is our staff, these particular videos are captured in 2003 when I started my master's program. So I realized that there is a lot of potential in this one, because this will hamper the health. If you could have clearly seen, if you could have clearly seen that video, lot of emissions are coming. Where these emissions will go? These emissions will go onto the operator or surrounding operators because of diffusion action from higher concentration to lower concentration, or it may go through the exhaust, which may hamper the surroundings. This will have a drastic effect. So that was the realization that I did when I was working. I think because you people are from Jhansi, so you may be well aware of IIT Kanpur. So I worked with this particular thing with Professor S.K. Chaudhary ji, so who was my master's supervisor, and at the time we have worked on to the some of the systems that how to minimize the cutting fluid. Later, currently, one of my PhD student has worked on to extensively onto development of cutting fluid, which we extensively work with respect to in collaboration with 2-3 institutions. One of the institution that we currently work is ISC Bangalore, and another some institutions abroad also we work. So what we develop is, we develop our own green cutting fluids, which has eco-friendly emissions. How, you may be asking, how you know that these are eco-friendly? So you can go for HPLC testing, you can even go for LPSC testing, and you can even go for GC, gas chromatography and other things. Okay, high pressurized liquid chromatography, gas chromatography, and all. There are a lot of things. So that will give you all the functional groups or the chemicals that is evolving around that and other things. That in that way we normally test all these things. Okay. So other group is additive manufacturing group, which is very active nowadays. Almost 7 PhD students are working in the additive manufacturing group currently. So this is one of the area which has a good potential, but the only thing is that you have to tap the right point. So we don't work on to the additive manufacturing of polymers, or we don't work on to the additive manufacturing of metals also. However, we try to work on to some of the one student is working on metals, remaining all are working on 3D printing of ceramics basically. So basically the ceramics is very expensive machines. The ceramic machines, whatever used in 3D printing systems, which ranges from 3 crores to almost all 15 crores of rupees. So one of the area that we exclusively work is ceramic 3D printing, and you can see that I just want to tell you is that we are also going to get one of the metal 3D printer. That is simple example that I can tell you is you should tap the research area. Otherwise, it will be very expensive. Okay, a simple example that I would like to tell you, and I borrowed from EOS. So original design of antenna that is there in satellite applications, you can see this one, 1.6 kgs. One can do the topological optimization and you can print it. So 940 grams. Even though the cost of this 3D printed is approximately the cost of the original design, still ISRO don't have any problem, because each and every gram that you are sending into the satellite applications into the atmosphere is worth. Okay, so they don't want heavy weights. So that is one of the good things. So you should tap it. Second application that we normally look into it is how to change the conventional components into a 3D printed components without compromising the quality and by maintaining the functionality. So for example, hydraulic manifolds. So hydraulic manifolds will have a lot of holes on each side of the blocks. And this is not a difficult task, but the difficult task is that it has to be joined at certain angles. Some are at 30 degrees, some are at 50 degrees, some are at 90 degrees. So these are to be joined so that it will be a complete component. That is very, very tedious job for the operator to make. That's why people have identified additive manufacturing as one of the solution where you can understand the functionality and you can do in a different direction. So most importantly, other thing is that it is also gives some of the sustainable aspects, what in from the point of material wastage. If you take an initial condition of subtractive manufacturing where you may end up with 14.6 kgs. However, if you go for additive manufacturing, your consumption is 1.3 kgs only. So 90% of weight reduction is there. That means that at least 60 to 70% of material wastage will not happen. How it is helping? So how it is helping is we are saving some of the materials for our future generations, our grandchildren, great grandchildren. So we are saving some of the materials for them so that they can utilize for useful purposes. Otherwise, in subtractive manufacturing, we may be using a lot of materials. So one of the prominent area where I work is bio-nanomaterials and manufacturing. It is one of the close to my heart because after my intermediate from Jawahar Navotaya Vidyalaya, I passed out with a specialization called MBPC, Maths, Biology, Physics, Chemistry. Normally, either some people study about BIPC, Biology, Physics, Chemistry, or some people they study about MPC in Andhra Pradesh, especially Maths, Physics, Chemistry. But we used to have two sections in Navodaya. One is MBPC, Maths, Biology, Physics, Chemistry. Another one is HBPC, Hindi, Biology, Physics, Chemistry. And you know that South Indians are fear to speak Hindi. Okay, anyhow, so my Hindi is not up to the mark. Okay, so just I would like to tell you one of the incident with I have with Professor VK Jain. So I joined in IIT Kanpur and I don't know much Hindi. So I joined and I occupied, my hostel was hall 5. They'd say hall 1, hall 2, hall 3 like that. So I used to stay in hall 5. Professor VK Jain asked me, "Kya hal hai bhai?" I said immediately hall 5 hai. So that was a funny incident, but I don't know. Professor Jain was laughing a lot. He has given me the books and he put his hands on the wall, दीवार पे रख के थोड़ा हंस रहा था. So I don't understand why he is laughing. So then I went to the hostel and I asked one of my friends who is from Bareilly, and he is a junior to Professor Pulak Mohan Pandey sir. So like Anupam Agrawal and Mr. Prince Malik. I said, अरे यार आज सर को मैंने बोला, सर पूछा मुझे कि क्या हाल है भाई, तो आई सेड हाल 5 है. So सर हंस रहा था. So then they explained me what is the meaning of sir question and what the answer I gave. Second day I went to the sir and I said, sir, sorry, my answer is wrong and I would like to say I am Badiya hai. Okay. Okay. Then Professor V.K. Jain said, no. Whenever I ask this question, you have to say all 5 only. So still, whenever Professor Jain calls me, if I say Badiya hai, kya yaar, dukhi ho gaya, aisa. So this is what happens. No. So whenever I say hal 5 hai, then sir will say, okay, Badiya. Now it means that you are fine. So still he expect the same answer. That is the Hindi. So you understand these type of things. That's why I have not opted Hindi, because my score in mathematics was slightly better. So they gave me MBPC and I graduated. And I want to become a doctor. Why I said all these things is that bio nanomaterials and manufacturing group, I want to become a doctor, but my father said that I don't have 10,000 rupees to send you to coaching. So then that forced me to enter into engineering. So engineering seat slightly better, easy you can get compared to medical seats. I'm telling about 1998 when I am graduated. So because of my poverty, whatever you can say, I entered into the engineering. But my interest in bio is enormous. So that's why once I became a faculty at IIT Gauhati in 2012, the first area that I explored is how I can connect my manufacturing with respect to bio. That is what my first look. And if you see almost all my papers, I'm telling about once I joined as a faculty. So 50% of my papers will be in the biomedical domain only, because that I have a passion that I am pursuing. So you can see some of the glimpse that we try to do. We try to do is micro nano coatings, one of the areas, and as on-demand coatings and structurally stable coatings at the same time, what type of coatings you require. For example, you see the density difference of the coatings. For example, this is very high density coatings and it has to go across the cross section for osteointegrity applications. The osteointegrity applications is nothing but, so you need to lot have porosity is required so that bone is an autotomy and it tries to mingle with it. So for which you need to have different substrates and different type of materials, different porogens whenever you make the disc. Okay, so you may not use the commercially available discs that you can use in RF magnetron sputtering or something. You have to go for your own disc with your own compositions and other things, for which you have to develop your own compositions. So whenever developing a material is not a problem, the problem is developing the purest form of materials is one of the difficult task, in fact. So hydroxyapatite can be prepared by anybody, or nanobioglass can be prepared by anybody, but the only thing is that how pure you have prepared. If it is 80% or 90%, nobody can use into biomedical applications because impurities are enormous. That's why you always require more than 99.7%, or at least you require 99.4%. Okay, for which one has to do a lot of characterization, and you have to take the feedback system, and you have to again and again you have to do. So how do you test? Many people are well aware of developing the materials, but some people are not aware of how to check the purity of the material. So for example, you have multiple options. Some of the rough option is that you can go for EDS, energy dispersive spectroscopy, and you can check what is the composition levels and other things that will give you calcium to phosphate ratio, which is normally in the body is about 1.66 to 1.67, or sometimes it may be in the range of 1.64 to 1.68. So that will give you calcium to phosphate ratio 1.65. So more than that, you can go for XRD analysis where you can do your XRD analysis of your powder, and at the same time you have one library called JCPDS. So once you superimpose JCPDS data with respect to your data, normally you can measure in terms of two technologies. One is peak intensity method, another one is red welt analysis. So if you are hurry, you can go for peak intensity method and you can check. Otherwise, if you have a time, normally it will take 2-3 days of time. If you are not familiar, red welt analysis you can do and you can measure. So currently what our our material is about 99.56 is our purity. That means that we can use into biomedical applications. So initially when we started, it was about 60%, 66% pure, which we cannot use at all. So gradually, almost all 2.5 years, it has took us to develop from the physics scales and other things. Okay, that is one. Then what we have done is we have, as a mechanical engineer, and one has a laser technology. So one can use lasers for pre-placement technique based coating technologies. However, the drawback is not good. I mean to say that the coatings are not up to the mark, because whenever you want to do for internal fixation devices for orthopedic applications and other things, the coatings metallurgically as well as metrologically are not up to the mark. At the same time, surface integrity is also not good, because you find always some of the cracks because of interaction between the metal as well as ceramic and other things. Okay, so then we have gone to another technology that is called PVD technology, that is RF magnetron sputtering, which is radio frequency magnetron sputtering process that you can see here. It is a complete system, and where if you can take out the topmost system is this, and if you see the substrate and target applications, for example, substrate will be your titanium, which is a bioinert surface, and targeted material which from where you are bombarding is hydroxyapatite. Okay, so these are all things you may learn across, because you have to know what is powder metallurgy here to make your own disc, or you can say to make your target, and you have to do some of the coating technologies. Once you do all these things, you have to go for tribological applications, because tribology plays a major role whenever you are interacting with respect to metals or orthopedic applications. You have to undergo tribological conditions, because your bone is in a brittle material where you have some relative motion applications are there. So you need to understand the tribological applications, for which scratch test is one of the delamination tests commonly used, for which we have used this particular system. Since this system, you can do the scratch testing and you can easily check EDS analysis in the under the scratch region. If you are getting a calcium and phosphate based compositions, that means that your delamination has been not occurred. If you are getting titanium and other compositions, which is a elemental composition of titanium alloy, Ti6Al4V or something, then that means the delamination has occurred. So there was a delamination because a ceramic material which you are coating on a flat surface. That means that you are building a house on a flat surface, which is not possible. You need to have a basement, for which what we have done is we have the laser technology to make a titanium on the titanium alloys. We have done the texturing. So texturing has two applications. One is you can generate hydrophilic textures. At the same time, whenever you are interacting with respect to laser, titanium is a highly reactive material. Whenever you impart with respect to some temperature or something, still the reactivity will increase. That means that titanium oxide formation will be enormous. On that, we have done the functional graded coatings like titanium oxide 100% coating to make it uniform, then gradually decreasing of titanium oxide, like 75% of titanium oxide and 25% of hydroxyapatite, 50-50, 75% of hydroxyapatite and 25% of titanium oxide, then 100% hydroxyapatite. Like that, functionally graded coatings have been happened. These functionally graded coatings will have good adhesion. And once you do this, then you have to go for in vitro test. So first test that you can do is biocompatibility test. Biocompatibility test will give you under the SBF studies. So simulated body fluid. So once you can cross check here, it is look like a coating, look like a black color, which is not a black color. It is also white color compared to this apatite layer formation, which is a amalgam of interaction of minerals and protein exchange with respect to the coated surface. Okay, then we have gone for the fluorescence microscopy of Mg60 cells grow in the in vitro condition. So people sometimes they will use SEM analysis, which may not be appropriately acknowledged. However, you can use this particular process. This is to fluorescence microscopy. Fluorescence microscopy will give you three. Whatever you are seeing, the green one is actin filament, and the red one, in fact, we try to give two dyes actually. Dye means colors. So one is red one, another one is green one. So the green one will occupy the actin filament, and the same time the red one occupy the nucleuses. However, there is a green superimposing is there because of the actin filament. That's why you are always see orange type of thing. So three things that you need to observe here. One is whether the cells are growing or not. Second, what is the cell density? Cell density can be measured by number of nucleuses per unit area. And the third and most important thing is that whether the only Mg63 cells are osteoblast cells are growing or any foreign elements are growing. That one can check. These are the three advantages of fluorescence microscopy. Now, we move on to our technology, whatever we are talking about, that is called micromachining using microorganisms, that is biomicromachining, which we have recently started. And some motivation. The motivation is as simple as, for example, if you do EDM process, whenever you do laser beam micromachining process and other things, the basic problem are if you go for electrochemical micromachining or any type of thing, you will get thermally modified layers, which you may not require. Okay. The second thing is that whenever you go for a chemical or electrochemical processes, you need to dump those things into nearby water bodies and other things. So this will hamper the environmental conditions and other things. So your recast layer in lasers and other things. So these are all very problematic. Okay. To overcome that, one can go with biomicromachining, where your cutting tool is much softer than your workpiece material. So now you see micromachining, you have multiple types of micromachining is there, like mechanical micromachining, like microturning, micromilling, micro drilling and other things. Optical, you have lasers and other things, or thermal you can say. The chemical, electrochemical and other things also available. So the basic problems either create a damaged layer like heat affected zone, precast layer and other things. It can environmental effect. So emissions, for example, if you are using electrochemical process or something, there will be a environmental impact. So high forces during machining, whenever you are going for a mechanical micro machining and other things. So chemicals are potentially damage the metallurgical structures of the materials, and production costs will be enormous. So alternative methods of micro machining, one has to think. One of the process that you can go with is biomicromachining. So biomicromachining is nothing but a controlled microbiological process selectively from the microstructures of a material workpiece by the material removal, normally by the dissolution of microorganisms. So basically, micromachining you are going to do with bioorganisms. In our case, the microorganisms are AcetylthioBacillus peroxidans. So you don't require any type of external energy or something. So the metabolic action of the cell wall, the bacterium cell wall, is sufficient for it. Okay. So no physical or chemical energy or external energy is required. The possibility of generating damaged layer or heat affected zone is not at all there. So AcetylthioBacillus peroxidans are normally used, and we get from CCMB and other places. So it gains energy by oxidation of the bivalent ions, ferrous ions, to trivalent ions. Normally Fe2 plus will be produced inside the body, and whenever it comes out through the different cell walls, it will become Fe3 plus because of losing and other things. So this is a highly oxidant. So this oxidant will oxidizing agent. So this will go and interact with respect to the material whenever the organism sitting that you can see in the upcoming. Basically, what you have seen in this is corrosion. Basically, okay, the use of whenever you put some of the materials which can corrode into the atmospheric conditions, and if you take after some time, so uncontrolled corrosion and other things will happen. So if you can control this, it is nothing but by the virtue of bioorganisms, that is nothing but biomicromachining. Okay. So normally bacteria will be living in a natural environments, attack the metals for leaching applications that you can see. So wherever you are seeing, it is an uncontrolled one. If you can control, that is what we are going to do here. So as I said, micromachining is defined, biomicromachining is defined as a controlled microbiological process. Okay. So now I'm just introducing about acidothiobacillus ferroxidans. Acidothiobacillus ferroxidans are normally transparent one, rod-shaped gram-negative bacteria with a polar flagella. Basically, you can see here how the macroscopically it look like on a petri dish. This is our petri dish. How the petri dish, how this bacterium look like. So whenever you get from the reliable source, biological source, you need to culture it basically. So this is what, and if you magnify it, it look like a bacterial column. So there will be a group of bacteria, and if you take out one, and if you check Acidothiobacillus ferroxidans at high magnification, it look like this. So biomicromachining tool. So anyhow, Acidothiobacillus ferroxidans normally length will be 1 micron and diameter will be 0.5 micron. Normally it will be having a rod type of bacterium. I will come to the mechanism of material removal. In our condition, we have done is copper basically. Why we have done on copper is, it is very nearly not possible to do on copper foils. For example, bio mixture or bio nozzles, for bio micro mixtures or bio micro nozzles, if at all I want to make on a aluminum foil or a copper foil. Whenever I am experiencing with respect to the lasers, it is because the foil thickness itself is 100 microns to 200 microns or maximum to maximum 500 microns. Or if you want to do 1 mm thickness sheets, you can get. So but the problem is laser power is so high. Normally you can play with 20 microns, 20 watts and other things. Still it will have a lot of impact in terms of metallurgically destroyed layers and other things. As you know, you see here Acidothiobacillus ferroxidans normally in an acidic solution inside the organism. So what is happening here is combination of continued oxygen of ferrous ions. Basically, it has inside Fe2 plus will be there, and normally it will interact with respect to oxygen and hydrogen and other things, which will give you Fe3 plus basically. So Fe3 plus, which comes out of the outer layer. Okay, that you can anyhow just I will show you in the next upcoming slides. When this Fe3 plus which is a strong oxidant basically, which is a insoluble and other things. You can see here what are the chemical reactions that will happen in a bacterial cell and other things will be there. And I am going to magnify one cell, what is happening inside. You can see here what is the mechanism that is there. This is inside the cell. Okay. So there is a Fe2 plus is there, and it will react with respect to oxygen and hydrogen and other things. It will become Fe3 plus, as simple as that. Okay, once the Fe3 plus will come and interact with respect to your copper, so you will become copper 2 plus and Fe2 plus and this strong oxidant. I mean to say the surface will become oxidizing surface, which will slowly remove the material. For example, simple example I will tell you. You take a mild steel, you put in the rain and you take off after 1 day or 2 days. What will happen? It will form a rust. So with a nail onto your finger, you can remove that. But before that rusting, you cannot remove. So that indirectly means is that it loosens at the interacting surface only. So those interacting surfaces you have to control. So how do you have to control? That I will show you. Okay, so how you have to control is that for first, what is the experimental procedure that we followed is with our collaborators from South Korea and other places. So what we do is we have a photolithography. So you do the photo masking, then you try to remove the, the surface that you want to do the biomicro machining. So that you can do by photolithography. And then once you do the photolithography and other things, some of the unwanted areas you can cover by the masking. And what are the required areas you can open. And this will make the path for acetylbacillus peroxidans to remove the material. Okay, so in our case, this is what our collaborators case, this is what in our particular our laboratory, what we do is acetylbacillus peroxidans we can get from some of the labs like Bhubaneswar is there, Pune is there, Hyderabad is there. So you can get from anywhere. And simultaneously, what you have to do is you have to do the photolithography. So this is a micro nozzle that you are seeing. So acetylbacillus peroxidans in a petri dish, you need to do the culturing initially using a nutrient medium. So nutrient medium plays a major role, and you have to understand the life cycle of that. Okay, all the microorganisms cannot perform same. One thing that you have to understand is you should have a good literature. And why I'm saying you have to understand the life cycle is there are three people. For example, one person is 12 years, another person is 25 years, another person is 55 years, for example. Who will do better physical work? Obviously, the 25 years guy. So you have to understand when these are at full strength. So for that purpose, you have to understand the life cycle. That life cycle understanding, it will take 2 to 3 months of rigorous study. Normally, in our case, it took almost 6 months or something. Once you do the culturing, then you need to populate it. So you have to populate it. Then you have to put inside this exposed micro region. So whatever the region that is exposed, normally it will take out or interact with respect to the biochemical reactions that you have seen in the previous slides will interact and the material will take place. 1 minute. I'm getting an official call from higher authority. Sir, tell me, sir. రాలేదు సార్, మెయిల్ పంపించలేదు కదా, మీరు పంపించారా? ఏదైనా అంటే ఏదైనా మీటింగ్ ఉందా ఏదైనా? ఓకే, ఆ సంతకం రాలేదు సార్. నేను ఇప్పుడు నాది ఆన్లైన్ టాక్ జరుగుతుంది బుందేల్ఖండ్ యూనివర్సిటీకి. రేపు మార్నింగ్ వస్తాను. లేదు లేదు, నేను మార్నింగ్ వస్తాను, మీ దగ్గరికి వస్తాను. రేపు మార్నింగ్ ఓకే కదా? ఓకే సార్. టుమారో మార్నింగ్ I will sign all the document. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, sorry for the disturbance. I got some official call which I cannot reject actually. So the next, so in this way we can make the surfaces. For example, you can see here how the surfaces you can make and other things. So you can see how the interaction has been happened and we have removed the surface. We don't bother about the surface roughness mostly because the material removal takes place by molecule by molecule or atom by atom. So obviously the surfaces will be very large. Very good. So this is another material where we try to do some temperature analysis and other things, where you can see here some of the temperature sources are there and the shakings. So we also do some of the input parameters changing like shaking and other things also. Yeah, you can clearly see here how we are mounting a copper where photolithography has been already done. So these are the input parameters. You can see machining time, I mean to say micro machining time, temperature you can control, soaking conditions, how much time you are soaking, bioorganisms concentration in the fluid, for which we are doing a lot of studies, workpiece material. Different workpiece materials will have different material removal rate. viscosity of the material, and the size of the microorganisms. Okay, like no, organisms will be, for example, if you go simply, so you can say some of the organisms are same generation. For example, chicken are there. So normally many people see the hens. Some hens are small, some hens are hybridized, some hens are big and other things. Same with sheep and other things also. So what I'm going to say is always size of the microorganism. So size of the microorganisms will have an effect with respect to what nutrients that you are providing. So output responses, specific material removal rate, surface roughness, channel dimensions, or accuracies, and any overcut is there or something. Okay. So you can see with respect to time, the cell density as with respect to time density is increasing. As normally we observed in our studies, the maximum cell density will be at 21 days. So that is what we have reported, beyond which we are using. So it is stabilizing up to a certain extent and it is falling. Now we can see the amount of leaching with respect to the time. So where we are using the cell density, for example, if you see 2.5 e power 7 to 5 e power 8 cells per ml. So as your number of cells are increasing, automatically it's a simple thing is that you can increase the amount of material removal rate. So we have done for, as I said, we have done for multiple materials. One is copper, another one is nickel. Even we have done for aluminum also. The mechanism is approximately same, and as the number of organisms are more, automatically the material removal will be there. So now we come across the effect of temperatures. So the temperatures, as you can see here, we are increasing the temperature. Whenever we are increasing the temperature, normally, so these organisms will have good effect at the human body temperature, like 35 to 37 degrees or something. So the same behavior that you can observe, whenever you are increasing more temperature, what will happen? Their functioning is drastically reducing because the cells are dying actually. Soaking speed, for example, you can have a shaking and on a shaker, so you can also shake, but in this condition we have not used any shaker and other things. What we have put it for as static conditions also. We later we moved for some of the RPMs. Okay, so as your soaking conditions and soaking speeds are increasing, the material removal increasing because of the dynamic. At the same time, what is the advantage that we have seen is that the partial attached atoms, whenever you are increasing the RPM and other things, are removed by the dynamic of the liquid, which is helping the organisms to interact with respect to next atoms. Okay, cell density, obviously if the cell density increases, automatically the material removal increases. If you are beyond certain level, what will happen is it has a interacting problem with respect to the material, because some of the cells will occupy already the surface. So these are some of the things that our collaborators and we have done. So this is done by our collaborators, and we now ventured into some of the other area that is called I will show you in the upcoming slides. So we also understand whether any metallurgically destroyed layer are there. So metallurgically destroyed layer we have not found, but what we found is that these type of surfaces where you have slightly higher roughness. Okay, so but these are very soft in nature, and you can even clean by acetone and other things also. Now, once you do the acetone cleaning and other things, you can get a very good surfaces and other things. What I mean to say is that the surface topography is very good, and as per the requirement and other things. So we also work on nowadays is that we try to do some of the machining applications, and then we need not to do currently so always getting a photolithography was a bit tedious job. For that purpose, what we have done is we are doing the finishing studies just to expose the complete area, whether the surface will improve or not. So you can see here grinded surface is there, then on the ground surface we are putting the organisms, and you can see the finishing. So we are getting a very fantastic surfaces and good results. The summary of this one, as acidothioperoxidase peroxidants we are getting, and the second thing is that photolithography that we have done, and acidothioperoxidase peroxidants will do the culturing, and this is done the populating of acidothioperoxidase peroxidants. Once you populate it, then you try to put it inside, and biochemical reaction, as you see that Fe3 plus will leach out Cu0 plus and other things. Okay, so this particular paper is judged as the best paper award in 2017 at IIT Madras for two reasons. One, we are not getting any type of thermally damaged or any metallurgically damaged layer. We are getting perfectly fine micro mixtures on copper. At the same time, why we have done on copper is that copper, we can get nanoparticles also. These copper nanoparticles are at most pure. Only thing is that you need to do some redox reactions because some oxidation is there. Some redox reactions, if you do, what will happen is you can get a normally the purest form. I can say 99% purest copper nanoparticles. Copper nanoparticles or copper suspensions are very famous in the area of biomedical applications because these copper nanoparticles are antimicrobial, and it can be act as antifungal, antibacterial, and so on. It can act. So nothing in this particular process is a waste. So for example, if you are using laser melting and evaporation in the material, so wastage is there from the melting and evaporation. For here, we are getting a output. So it's like a punching and blanking type. In one case, you want hole. In one case, you want the billet. So here, both I want. I can use for future applications. This is what the biomicromachining, and I'm very thankful to the jury who are judged us as a best paper award. So as I said, we have provision for services in research services and other things. Currently, we are having laser-based micro manufacturing, powder bed fusion technologies are there. Almost all our laboratory, we have state-of-art technologies like 17 varieties of polishing technologies are there. So since a new IIT, we have grateful to the institute for giving us a lot of funding for develop. So those people who are interested for executing their PhD partial works or MTech partial works, they can send to us. We are happy to support them, but however, you need to pay us the nominal price. For example, if you want to do some of the testings, for example, XRD, if you want to do, so nominal price about 225 rupees per slot and other things. These are the institute norms. And whenever you are coming for 3D printing or something, better that you get your own consumables and other things. Rest all things we can support you, and which can enhance your quality. Okay. So coming to the non-technical things, there are 3 MOOCs courses are there. Introduction to machining and machining fluids, introduction to abrasive machining and finishing process, polymer assisted abrasive finishing process. These are the 3 courses which was developed at IIT Guwahati. Now till this particular year, 2021, IIT Guwahati was hosting. Since these courses are highly demanding courses by the audience, we are fortunately and thanks to Almighty, and we are getting good response because of this. These courses will be floated up to 2023. Oh, and 2022 and 2023 will be floated by IIT Madras. Now, since our mentoring institute is IIT Madras, now last week only it is shifted from IIT Guwahati to IIT Madras. So IIT Madras. However, the content is everything is same. So I'm very thankful to all the funding agencies ranges from IIT Guwahati 5 lakhs to Bob Atomic Research Center about 23 lakhs, DST about nearly 1 crore, then DRDL about 75 lakhs. Then we got a big funding on bio applications, that is about 60 crores, where I'm a co-PI, I'm not a PI. About from MIT, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology on theranostics. Then imprint we have with IIT Kanpur and ISC Bangalore 3+3. Then IIT Tirupati startup grant about 22.5. ACRB and BIRAC. And recently, as I said, we have received a TIH, which is about 100 to 120 crores on precision technologies. One of the vertical is precision manufacturing. So this is the funding, and we are again having funding is one side, and we should have a good group of people. So currently our group is 21 PhD students are working. So, and MS, almost all 10 MS are working, and MTech, as you know, we have every year MTech will come and go. So we have 3 MTechs are working, and BTech and MTech will have around 5 batches or something. So thank you one and all. And if you have any queries and other things, I am ready to take up. Am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Now the Google Meet is open for questions. We are all open for questions. If you have any questions, you can just post it in the chat box, or else you can just ask the question directly to sir. Yeah, let me just check if any questions are there, sir. I request all the participants to post your questions in the chat box, or else you can just ask the questions directly to sir itself. Sir, a question is asked by Dr. Suresh Godipudi. Any micrometrological inspection methods that are being used?
Sure. You can ask me what you want basically. That is question is a open-ended question actually. Exactly.
Oh, sir, Dr. Suresh, could you be more specific so that you will get an answer? Dr. Suresh?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Please, could you be more specific?
Yes, sir. It's like non-contacting type or intricate shapes, any optical, any kind of, any. Actually, I'm very much interested in micrometrological inspection methods. So, in my PhD also, I have adopted one optical, my optical projection methods and CAD modeling and all. But is there any other available optical methods I'm looking
So
for?
we have at IIT Tirupati non-contact surface profilometers. Our metrology lab is equipped with more than 6 crores of funding. So I think you are from which place, Dr. Suresh Garu?
Sir, good afternoon, sir. This is NIT Warangal, sir. Suresh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Subbu, sir, student, sir. I know you, sir. We met many times, sir.
Yeah.
So, Ravichandra's friend.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. So what I mean to say is that you try to visit ours and our metrology lab, and we have a ranging from CMM Titan to the CMM Zeiss
Yes.
Titan. We have completely Zeiss lab.
Okay.
So we have a Carl Zeiss, completely equipped with Carl Zeiss lab. So you can imagine each and every equipment, each single equipment costing us around 50 lakhs of South rupees. So non-contact type, Bruker we have.
Okay, sir.
So if you specifically if you want to measure the surface roughness and surface, we have portable surface analyzer, contact type.
Okay, sir.
Big from this is from MAR. Another one we have from Zeiss, Carl Zeiss, which is about 30 lakhs contact surface profilometer for large range. For example, my rod surfaces are very big. We have 30 lakhs equipment. If you want non-contact type, so we have from the famous company. So I cannot tell because the PO has to be released.
Sir,
As a non-contact type.
A three-dimensional profile like
Yeah, 3-dimensional you can take from non-contact
profile.
type.
That's
Non-contact type.
And
And
also,
particularly our lab has atomic force microscopy.
oh yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So
Can we access?
we also have atomic force microscopy with inbuilt lot of technologies.
Okay. Can we access, sir? Any possibility?
You can access with nominal fees. That is what I said already. Because
Okay,
IIT Tirupati will charge for internal students also. We are charging.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So, but charge is minimal for academicians. Like I said, no XRD example. I said 200 rupees per slot.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
So currently, where you are working?
Sir, I am joined in Chaitanya Deemed University, sir. So I was guiding two scholars here. Chaitanya Deemed University is in Warangal, Hanmukonda, in the
Okay.
heart of the city. So just recently joined, sir. Two scholars were allotted.
You can
under
write
me.
a mail to me. You can write a
Sure,
mail
sir.
to me.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. I thought of contacting after this lecture, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for.
Any more questions you're having?
I frequently coming to that because my in-laws home.
Okay.
Sir, you are a sir. You just let me know, sir, when you are coming here.
So my in-laws home is Khammam. So,
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Welcome, sir.
so yeah, you can put my
Yeah.
mail.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I'm putting. I'm just placing my number here. Anybody, don't share to other people.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sure, sir. Okay, sir.
Any more questions that you're having from the participants? Sir, are you working in the field of additive manufacturing?
Yes, yes, professor.
So currently, sir, do you have any projects, sir, in additive manufacturing? Currently, you're working, or you will be working in future?
You want future or you want present?
Sir, in future.
So future is ceramics.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So many people in India are working on metals. So you
Okay,
just
sir.
switching into ceramics. So only thing is that you should have a funding. So the ceramic 3D printer start price is 2.8.
Okay, sir.
They will say 3.5. If you negotiate, they will give for 2.8. So 150 mm by 150 mm by 100 mm.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But there are two companies. One is 3D Serum. Another one company is Lithos. These are the two world leaders in terms of ceramic 3D printers. But if you all want to do a industrial type of research or something, you should go for slightly bigger size. So that will cost you a range from 6.8 to 8 crores.
Okay.
So that is about the current and future, because you know almost all, when EOS said to me, because we are also getting one machine, metal 3D printer. So they said that they have almost all 80 installations in India.
Yes, sir.
80 installations. If you take another companies like SLM, 3D Systems, even I think Suresh may know that it is one 3D Systems is there in NIT Warangal.
Okay,
Professor
sir.
YRK is there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have almost all in India more than 120 to 130 machines are there. That means that many people are working on to these systems. Apart from this, every private engineering college or small wire are called to manufacturing. So
Hello.
what they do is, if you have a 2 lakhs rupees or 3 lakhs rupees, you can simply purchase a welding with a XYZ stage.
Hello. Could you hear me? Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
సురేష్ గారు వినబడుతుందా? హలో సురేష్ సార్.
సార్ చెప్పండి.
Hello, sir. Could you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I think there was some network issue.
Okay. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible now.
So, one of the economic technology that small institutes you can work is, you just get a laser torch and you can get a XYZ stage. XYZ stage, if you are not looking at very submicron accuracy or something. So there is one company, suddenly I don't remember this company names. So you will get for 60,000 or 1 lakh rupee one stage. So already your institutes will have welding torch basically. Only thing is that if you can play with XYZ stage and that this one, automatically you can build a 3D printing. Instead of welding, you can build a structure. So
Yes, sir.
one of the guys I know in Andhra, I don't know, especially I know few three pure people in Andhra Pradesh itself that they are doing fantastic work. You know, the publications they are publishing in cleaner production, whose impact factor is more than 10.
Wow.
They are publishing in IJAMT, whose impact factor is 4. I'm telling about one Professor Venkatarao, who is there in Vignan University in Guntur.
Okay,
So
sir.
I can see many people. So they are working. So why can't other people also can work? So this is where you don't require much budget. So wire arc additive manufacturing is there. Other people, they add some other wire also. For example,
Yes, sir.
twin wire arc additive manufacturing. So these are the some of the technologies that people try to use.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any more questions you're having? Sir, thank you so much for joining, sir. Then,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's been pleasure for us hearing to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you and all the people, especially Pandey ji, namaskar, पीछे बैठा है.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
तो अच्छा लगा. हमको झांसी से बहुत बहुत सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस है क्योंकि कानपुर में पढ़ा है ना, बहुत सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस है. झांसी से
Yes,
हम लोग
yes,
कानपुर जाते थे, तो कोई जगह नहीं देता था रात को ट्रेन में.
Sir, I'm also from Andhra.
Oh, very good. What is your name? What is your name?
Sir, Naveen Kumar. I Naveen Kumar. Ipaka Naveen Kumar.
Yeah. So as I said, no. So all people are in mute. When my professor asked me, "क्या हाल है?" I told all 5 है. So you know, पांडे जी बहुत हंसा होगा, मुझे लगता है. पांडे जी ऐसा ना कि I converted into English. क्या हाल है? What हाल है? So then I said, "What हाल?" Okay, he may be asking which hall I am staying. Then I said, "Hall 5 है." So then he laughed.
Yeah.
So there was another incident because you people are Hindi people. I joined in 6th class in Navodaya. So in Navodaya school, they start Hindi in 6th class. In Andhra Pradesh, we start Hindi in 6th class actually. So आ से लेके हम लोग को पैराग्राफ तक लिखने टाइप पे we transform from आस to एक पैराग्राफ, छोटा सा पैराग्राफ लिखने लायक बन जाते हैं 6th क्लास में एंडिंग में. तो हम लोग को एक स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन रहता था, गाय के बारे में लिखो. तो गाय के बारे में लिखने के लिए बोला तो हमने लिख दिया. वो तो स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन है, अच्छे से लिखा. जब मैडम ने दिया 10 मार्क का क्वेश्चन है, लास्ट 90 के बाद 10 लास्ट में पैराग्राफ क्वेश्चन होता है. तो they asked us, recording is there, you can stop the recording.
अच्छा, 1 मिनट से.
इसमें जाएंगे.